With two outs and two strikes in the ninth inning, one of your core four hit a shot into the second deck in left. But was it sparked by something Torey did?
You are Locked On Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and welcome to the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast, your team every day. Baseball is my religion, the Diamondbacks are my denomination, and you, ladies and gentlemen, are my congregation. So settle down in your pew of choice and enjoy today's message. I do have another weekly podcast that I do called The Sports Truth. It's live every Tuesday night. I just got done recording it with my co-host Cheese. We are the 643 and Out guys, and you can find us on both X and YouTube at the 643 and Out pod. By listening now, you're a certified member of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast network, which is completely free on all podcast platforms. You can also be part of the show by joining us on YouTube. Simply search Locked On Diamondbacks and leave your comments and your criticisms. Now, guys and gals, I have a passion for this game and for this team. And if you are listening, I'm sure you have that same passion. Whether you're a first time or a long time, I thank you for making Locked On Diamondbacks your first listen of the day. On today's show, we'll wipe the sweat from our brows because tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have a big-time game matchup. Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen. We're also going to look at what Torey did today to spark everything in the ninth inning as well. And lastly, we're going to review the game because, man, it was a heck of a game. We'll talk about all of that right now, right here on the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is just around the corner, so visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets right now. Let's start with segment number one and say this. It went 445 feet into the Texas night as it left the bat of Ketel Marte at 111.7 miles an hour. It gave them the 3-2 lead, and Ketel was the man who hit it into the upper deck. But was it Torey who really made this happen? Well, wait. Let's start from the beginning, all right? First of all, I want to compliment the Diamondbacks pitchers today. They held the Rangers. I mean, I know the Rangers are slumping a little bit, but they are a slugging team, and they held the Rangers to only 4 hits. Disco, as I like to call him, Anthony DeSclafani, nicknamed Disco, gave up both of the Texas runs, and he only went 3 innings. Now, Beeks got the win, but Woodruff is the get-nothing hero. And what I mean by that is, yes, I understand Beeks came in after him and got those critical outs. But Woodruff, man, he came in after Disco's only 3 innings of work, which is going to be a problem if he continues to be in the starting rotation. And he shut that door for 3 innings as well. So you got 3 innings of DeSclafani, 3 innings of Woodruff, and then you got Beeks to come in. And because of where he slotted and everything, he got the win. But I think that Woodruff did a whole lot more than what Beeks did. And that's why I called him the get-nothing hero. He doesn't get a save. He doesn't get a hold. He doesn't get a win. But to me, his pitching performance was really what nailed down this game for them today. Man, I love to see this too. Bunting is a lost art. And I know some of you out there are like, oh, no, you can't bunt. You're giving yourself up. You know, even if you're trying to advance the runner, Well, what about in yesterday's game? Would you have liked to seen them bunt and advance the runner from second to third instead of just swinging away and striking out? Those are the two different sides of this conundrum here, right? So today, Geraldo Perdomo did a bunt, and man, he put down a great one. In fact, it was so good that Young at third base bobbled the ball, and then everybody ended up being safe. So when you tell me don't bunt because you're going to give yourself up, not always. You're putting the pressure on that team. Perdomo is a fast runner. We've talked about this in a few episodes before this. I want the chaos. Do you want the chaos? Today, they did it with a bunt. And that bunt led to a run. Oh, and I got to talk about my guy, right? Blaze Alexander with his second home run in as many days. Yes, sirree. I am really starting to like Blaze. And again, I think it's going to be a real problem here when you've got Blaze doing so well, and then you're going to have their big phenom come back because he just went to Reno, and he's going to want to come up there, and Jordan Lawler, and he is going to want to have starts, and he is going to want to have lots of at-bats. But can you take the bat out of Blaze Alexander's hand? Not right the moment you can't. But that's something for Torey to decide on down the road. And we'll let him do that because I think today Torey did something brilliant. We'll talk about that here in a moment. And then, of course, Ketel Marte capped the whole thing off. As we set it up in the beginning, right? Bottom of the ninth. 2 outs. 2 strikes even on Ketel Marte. And he said in the interview after the game with Jody Jackson, he was looking for something off speed. And when he got it, ladies and gentlemen, he didn't miss. Did you see how angry he swung that bat at that ball? That was some anger. That was something that I think was building up. And I'm going to give Torey a lot of credit here. I know not all of you on this channel like him. I'm a Torey Lovullo fan. And I'm going to say that what Torey did really sparked this whole thing. Now, I also can't leave off Juan Murillo with his very first save. Very important there, too. And then let me give you another Ketel Marte reaction in the bottom half of that inning. Did you see Marte's reaction when he smothered the second out that went straight up the box by Young? He was pumped up, smothered that ball, jumped back up to his feet, threw a strike to first base, and then he pumped his fist. I don't see Ketel Marte show a lot of emotion a lot of the time. But today, in this particular game, with no dreads or anything, right? He shaved them off a week or so ago. Now I see him with some emotion. I've seen some other guys with some emotion on this team too. And I like what I'm seeing. Last thing I want to point out to you before we go to segment number 2. Ketel said in his interview with Jody Jackson, he talked about something that I want to bring up later on, probably either later on this week or the beginning of next week. Ketel said he wants to win a Gold Glove. That's interesting. I like it when athletes put out goals and they say, this is what I want to accomplish. This is the brass ring that I'm reaching for. This is the ceiling that I want to bust through. And without even being prompted, Ketel Marte says, I want to win a Gold Glove. Now, my big takeaway from this whole thing is that was a team win. You had good defense, you had timely hitting, you had great relief pitching, and a dramatic finish spearheaded, I believe, by their manager. In my opinion, a manager does not do much to actually affect the outcome of a game. But today, Torey Lovullo did just that. And we'll talk about exactly what he did here in just a second. But first, let's talk to these guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like let's say a busted pipe. Is it the first plumber, or if the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? Like, did you wait on him to call you back? No. You just simply called the next one. And that's why having a reliable business line is so important to your business. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication from an app on either your phone or your computer. And then they have an AI agent that handles after-hour calls, which I really like. They answer common questions for you. Again, another great service that they do. And they capture leads. So I, as the business owner, never miss a call again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On Diamondbacks listeners 20% off of your first 6 months at opendoor.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone. No missed calls, no missed customers. All right, so summer sports are in full swing, ladies and gentlemen. And whether you are at the baseball game under the lights, or if you're golfing out on the green, or if you're a high-stakes soccer action person, FanDuel is without a doubt the best way to make every game more exciting. I mean, you're already following the game and the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in the game while your friends are getting suntanned on the beach. They're not making any money out there, but you will be on FanDuel. FanDuel is easy to use. It's fast to pay out. It makes every regular season game feel like a must-watch game. Those are the reasons why I like it so much. And now I have a question for you. Are you new to FanDuel? Because new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, here we go. Segment number 2. And I want to talk a whole lot here about Torey Lovullo. As I said before, this was a team win, and part of that team is Torey Lovullo. I thought he did a fantastic job, and we'll talk about it here more in just a second. But you know what, guys? YouTube is a great tool for you to get everything you need about your Arizona Diamondbacks. But in order to do that, do me a couple favors here real quick. Please subscribe to the channel. Just click that. Hit the bell for notifications. Another small click. And never miss a video so you are never not informed. I'm also very active on X. I do a lot of posts and reposts, do some poll questions, and so much more. And you can get me on X at LO_Diamondbacks. Nate Tomlinson tonight may have been one of the worst umpiring jobs, or may have done one of the worst umpiring jobs I have ever seen. Now, it wasn't just against the Diamondbacks or just against the Rangers, so, maybe it all kind of evens out in the end, but it's still frustrating to watch. There were so many pitches that were 3 inches off the plate. Not even a stitch was covering that little white box in there, and he called it a strike. And there were some times where half the baseball seemed to be on that box or on that line, and he didn't call it a strike. Especially the low pitch tonight really got called a lot. There were several low pitches, and it seemed like the catchers were kind of fooling him back there. I mean, he's done a lot of games. He's a really good umpire. I looked some stuff up before I did this podcast. 97 percentile. Really a guy who has consistently been a good umpire and had a pretty good strike zone. I don't know what the deal was tonight, I don't know, maybe that Texas humidity was steaming up glasses or something. I don't know. Contacts, maybe. But it kind of boiled over there in that ninth inning. And like I say, in my opinion, a manager doesn't do a whole lot to actually affect the outcome of the game. Some of you are probably going to argue with me on that, but he really doesn't. He sets the lineup and he hangs out in the dugout. We're really quick to judge him when he makes the wrong decisions, and we're really quick to say that he should have done something faster, like take out a certain starting pitcher yesterday before he gives up a 3-run home run. But how much does he really do to affect the actual outcome? Especially when you compare him to the actual players. I mean, Torey didn't hit the home run that won the game tonight. Torey didn't hit it for Blaze when he hit that run that got the game going. None of that was done by Torey Lovullo whatsoever. Okay, he put the right guys in the right spots and all of this kind of thing. But that's what a manager is supposed to do. It's not necessarily what you're supposed to do, but it's what we expect you to do. You have a job to do just like I do, just like all you guys out there do. And when you do that job right, nobody says a word. But mess up something like this on a grand stage like this one, and we're ready to take his head off. But tonight, he got fed up with it in the ninth inning. And I don't know if you really saw, Perdomo did not like that strike 3 call, and he was right. It was not a strike. That catcher moved that ball up in that zone, I don't know what. It seemed like a good 6-7 inches. I'm not sure if that's really what made the umpire make that call, but it certainly was, certainly helped him. So Perdomo turns around, starts to say something to the umpire. They didn't look like they were getting too heated or anything. The umpire did eventually take the mask off right towards the end, and then Ketel Marte came up and got in between them. I don't know, I'm sure Ketel was right there and could hear everything, so he was real privy to everything that was going on right there, and maybe that was the first thing that kind of kicked Ketel into high gear. But then Torey comes out, and he doesn't get belligerent. He wasn't Lou Piniella in anything, like he wasn't throwing bases or dirt or nothing like that. But he did come out, and he stuck up for his players. If I'm there, right, that's what I want from my manager. I want to be valued. I want to know that my boss has my back. I'll tell you, today I had an incident that happened at my own personal work. We won't go into what it was or anything like that, but my boss didn't have to take up for me, but today he did. And that will stick with me for the entire time that he's my boss. And I think the same thing happens with these players when Torey Lovullo does what he needs to do and sticks up for them. Did he go out there and rant and rave and everything else? No, he did not. But that's something like concrete on a wall. You can put all the bricks on the wall that you want, but if you don't have anything in the center of them, if you don't have anything that brings them together and holds them there in place, then that wall's going to fall. And I think a lot of people on social media right now think that Lovullo has not done a good enough job to hold that wall together. And in my opinion, today, he did. I just want to recognize that. And I think all of you guys should too. I like it when managers come out and take up for their players. It gives them a sense of together and value. And speaking of together and value, 2 guys who used to be in the Diamondbacks rotation together will face off against each other tomorrow morning. Yes, morning for D-backs fans. And it should provide us with a lot of value. Together and value. Oh, sounds like something else I know. Maybe it's, I don't know, Gameday Hue? All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's episode is also brought to you by Gameday Hue. Gameday Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colors for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. Now, personally, I like game day gear because it pairs perfectly with what I've already got as my regular everyday gear. I wear sports stuff all the time, and it doesn't replace my team's things. In fact, it's just the opposite. To me, it enhances what I already have. And right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at their easy to use website, which of course is right there at the bottom of your screen, GamedayHue.com. Let me give you another bonus part. It works on bundles. So when you get to their website, you can stack things and you'll still get 15% off. So let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's Gameday Hue, code MLB for 15% off. All right, guys, segment number 3, we're going to talk about the pitching matchup tomorrow morning. Now, let's get that part of it out of the way, right? It is tomorrow morning. It's an afternoon game, but it's morning for us because we're a little bit behind Texas, of course. So 11:30 our time. All right. Tomorrow morning on the bump for your Arizona Diamondbacks, it'll be Zach Gallen. And tomorrow morning on the bump for the Texas Rangers, it will be ex-Arizona Diamondback Merrill Kelly. These guys are so evenly matched, it's not funny. I had to do like a double take a couple of times to be like, really? It's really? Are they that close to each other? And they absolutely are. There's one big difference. I'll give it to you here in just a second. So both of these guys have started 24 games. Both of them have won 9 games. Here's the big difference in the two of them. Zach Gallen has a 5.31 ERA, and Merrill Kelly has a 3.38 ERA. Almost a 2 full run difference between the two. Now, I know on previous episodes, we've talked about why didn't Zach get traded? Why is Zach still here? And this is what a lot of you point to. Nobody wanted Zach. Well, I hope Zach goes out on the mound tomorrow and proves all of you doubters wrong. Zach, 130 innings even. Kelly, are you ready for this? 1 out shy. 138 and 2/3 innings. As far as base on balls to strikes, Zach is 50 and 130. So 50 walks, 130 Ks. Kelly, 43 walks, are only 7 apart, and 131 Ks. One different than what Zach Gallen is. So when all of you guys got together and you were like, oh yeah, I understand why Kelly got traded. People wanted what Kelly had. Well, from this comparison, there's not a lot of difference between the two of them. I thought that was interesting because I was in that same boat with a lot of you guys. I understood why people wanted Merrill Kelly, and I understood why there was trepidation to Zach Gallen. We talked about that, why I think it's very smart that the Diamondbacks did what they did, kept Zach Gallen. You can go back and see the things on our YouTube channel. You'll see the picture of Zach Gallen on there. You can click on that one and read the rest of it. Get that opinion and let me know what you think. I've been looking forward to this matchup for a few days. And I can't wait to see how the Snakes compete against a guy that they all know, a guy that they used to share a locker room with. I think this will be really, really interesting because when you are a friend with someone, at least in my experiences, it either makes you turn up the concentration and you lock in on him because you say, I have to beat my friend. I have to show him who the better person is. And by golly, it's going to be me. So you just ratchet that intensity up. Or you kind of take the passive aggressive approach to it and you say something like, well, you don't mind getting beat by your friend. So you say, well, I don't mind losing to him. Then you rationalize it with yourself, right? Oh, he's a good guy. He's been pitching for a long time. He used to be over here in the Diamondbacks clubhouse, and he was really good then, and I know he's still really good now. And you just kind of sort of sell it to yourself, right? So I think it's going to be real interesting to see which way players swing as they get into the batter's box against Kelly. And you also have to remember the Rangers don't have this. They're going to approach Zach Gallen like they would any other pitcher. And both teams, hopefully, will try to get a win. This game decides the series, and this battle might bring out some things that we've not seen from some of our Diamondback players in quite a while. Maybe like the emotion that was brought out with Ketel Marte when he smothered that ball as second out in the ninth inning after cranking that game-winning home run. So this is going to wrap up today's show. I thank you, as always, for making us your first listen every day. Tell a friend, share the episode of the Locked On Diamondbacks podcast on your social media accounts, and be sure to follow me on X at LO_Diamondbacks for more great content. As far as tomorrow's show, we'll review this Texas finale, hopefully a Diamondback win and a series win, and then we'll preview Colorado, and we'll do a few more things along the way as well. Now, for your next listen, check out Locked On MLB as Sully gives you a daily look at the biggest stories in the league. And as always, tune in so you can stay locked on.